This is the INKPULP podcast. This is the INKPULP podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.
Sorry, you caught me. Welcome to the INKPULP podcast. I'm Sean Crystal. I'm enjoying a sushi lunch today. Excuse me. Didn't know you were there. Today is part 2 of how to break into comics. And I got my notes over here, so if I'm looking over here, I'm just making sure I'm staying on topic. Hello. So I guess the first thing to talk about is, let's go way back to the early years. What do you need to be doing, or what lets you know? If you're a parent and you got a little kid who seems like they're interested in this, what do you do? And what about you who's maybe a teenager wondering if you've got enough background in it? My thing is this. Comics is an intense medium. It requires a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of solitude, a lot of grind. It's also a fantastic medium. It's kind of one of the few mediums where your voice as an artist gets to the audience unfiltered, almost entirely. And that's kind of my draw to it is I can bring my vision to life with very little interference. Where if you're in an animation studio or a graphic design studio, it's a lot harder. So, because of how time consuming and how much of a grind the medium is, what lets me know if comics is right for you, because I know people that are the most talented artists I've ever seen, and comics isn't right for them. The grind is too much, or the way they work doesn't mesh with the requirements of the medium of comics. So I think from the jump, all that you need to look for in a child, or ask yourself, was I like this, is just an interest in drawing. Did you as a young child draw constantly? Does your child draw incessantly? I think that right there, that's that passion, that's that interest that you always want to be drawing. If that's there and it's nurtured, then that's, I think, all you need at the beginning. Sure, there comes art education and stuff like that later, but in the beginning, like I have parents, should I send my kid to art lessons? I don't know that that's a good idea. I feel like once you turn it into school, you take away some of the fun of it. And there is a point where, yes, you probably do need that, but that's for a more mature mind. I say with a kid, get them comics, get them books of shit that they'd probably love to draw. I mean, for me, it was books on sharks, books on dinosaurs, and when I got into comics, it was just comics. Books on animation, anything I could find that was full of visuals that inspired and sparked me. I wanted to draw that. So I think from a young age, that's really the key. Did you have that? Do you see that in your child? And if so, then nurture it. But don't force it. Don't say, we're getting you into an after-school art program. I mean, maybe for some, I guess, ask your child. I don't know why parents don't ask their kids more. Like, do you want to do this? And if they say no, they just want to have fun, then let them. Just as long as they're drawing a lot and having fun with it. That's the key, having fun with it. If that exists, then I think you're okay. And that's like elementary school years. Middle school years, I think, is a good time to introduce maybe some academic art. And what I mean by academic art is the study of art and its theories and practices in order to improve your art. So for me, middle school is when I started getting books, I got How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And don't sleep on that book. Sorry about that phone call. Don't sleep on that book. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is full of great information for how to draw comic books. I'm sorry, my phone keeps ringing. It's kind of a really great introduction to everything for superhero comics. Not all comics, but superhero comics. And probably around that age is when I discovered George Bridgman and anatomy, and studying anatomy from an artist perspective, not a scientist perspective. And they're different. I mean, you don't have to memorize every little muscle. What's important for the artist is understanding these masses and wedges of muscle and bone that form planes that can tell you, like almost like a sculpture, like what part's in shadow and what part's in light. So I think middle school is a good time to start getting into some academic art study and comics, and lots of comics, and any art of animation movie you can get your hands on, like Art of the Incredibles, Art of Finding Nemo. All of these books are full of beautiful and inspiring art. And I think at this age in middle school, it's really about having, like, giving a love for books. And I mean, this is the digital age, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just a lover of books. You can see behind me. I think it's key. I do. I just think books are key. And sure, you can find all the JPEGs you want on the internet, but I think having the book and not the internet, just, it's more of a me and my art alone thing. And I think that's really good. So middle school, some art academics, lots of fun books, lots of inspiring art to see. Go to museums, see movies, all that stuff. And when you get into high school, I would say that's when maybe some after school program might be cool. If you can find a good teacher. My big thing always was, I never found in these extracurricular art classes someone who understood me as an artist. It was all very much like either modern art or Renaissance art. And I mean, it's all that stuff's great, but it wasn't speaking to me, so I just lost interest, and it felt like work. And that's also another reason I created INKPULP Instruction, is because I want to be able to offer that out there. So I've got these online episodes, classes, that anyone can buy and watch and learn from, and be very focused on the specific area you're looking into. And so through high school, I think it's a good time to do that. And then books, the Hogarth anatomy books, the Bridgman anatomy books, Loomis is back in print, Andrew Loomis, any of those books are great. I mean, study anatomy, study perspective. Even if you're a very independent-minded artist, I think this knowledge is very helpful. Glenn Villepue is a great person to study, to learn figure drawing. You can get all these books. Just Google their names. You'll find them all. And comics. Dig deep, get into comics. And around high school, if comics is really what you want to do, that's when I would really recommend Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, Comics and Sequential Art by Will Eisner. DC Comics put out a little library, like 3 books, how to draw comics, how to ink comics, how to color comics, I think it is, but those are really good. If they're still in print, I don't think they are, actually. Yeah, I don't think they are. And Will Eisner's got 3 books out. I think all those are great. I'm just looking at my shelf real quick. And then McCloud put out 2 more books worth looking into, but Understanding Comics and Comics and Sequential Art, I think are the keys. But also reading the canon of comic book media, and not just superhero comics. Like, get outside of superhero comics in America, and get outside of America. Tap into manga in Japan. Tap into European comics, South American comics. There's a lot of different styles of art, and there's history in each of these cultures with this medium. So I would also say in high school, you should, if you can, in middle school, if your parents can take you to a convention, or there's one locally you can get to, just go check it out. And then in high school, start checking out more of them and talk to comic book artists. Look online, go to their website, email comic book artists. Most of us love receiving emails from people, like younger people or older people, it doesn't matter, who want to get in and love helping. And that's what this is here for. And that's another thing INKPULP Instruction is here for. So around the time you're getting close to the end of high school, you're going to be asking yourself the question, do I go to art school? Do I go to college? What do I do? Do I just try to get into the industry right then and there? And that is next week's episode. So we'll chat about that next time. Hope you enjoyed this, part 2 of How to Break Into Comics. I'll see you again next week. Peace.
This is the INKPULP podcast. This is the INKPULP podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.